Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this. This is the full review on the Mini 4 Pro, and this is my opinion on the drone. So let's go ahead and jump into this, starting with price. We're looking at $759 with the RC-N2, $959.99 with the RC2, and $1,099.99 with the RC2, 3 batteries, sling bag, and charging hub. Comes with a 1 1/3 inch CMOS sensor up to 48 megapixels. It has 2 gigabytes of internal storage. The charging time, I got about 2 hours and 21 minutes. DJI claims 70 minutes with the DJI 30 watt USB-C charger and 58 minutes with the DJI 30 watt USB-C charger and battery inserted into the two-way charging hub. As far as the ISO range goes, we're looking at this for video and in slow motion. So it's 100 to 6400 in normal, 100 to 1600 in D-Log-M or HLG. For photos, 12 megapixels is 100 to 6400, 48 megapixels is 100 to 3200. The shutter speed for 12 megapixels is 1 1/16 thousandths of a second to 2 seconds long, or 2.5 to 8 seconds for simulated long exposures. 48 megapixel is 1/8 thousandths of a second to 2 seconds long. As far as the images go, 12 megapixels is soft compared to the 48 megapixel photos, but even those seem soft while zooming in on the image. Keep that in mind when blowing an image up if you plan on printing them out for prints. And this is just my opinion. The 12 megapixel is honestly too soft if you plan on zooming in. For social media, I think you should be okay, but honestly, I mean, you have the capability to shoot in 48 megapixels. The files are a little bit larger, but I would just go with that. They're a lot sharper than the 12 megapixel, and even when you zoom in on those, they still seem kind of soft in the corners, but that's just my opinion. So as far as the Mini 4 Pro goes for flight time, I have been getting probably roughly around 25 minutes with the regular DJI 4 Mini Pro battery. As far as the Mini 3 Pro Flight Intelligent Plus battery, obviously that's going to add more weight, so it'll make the drone weigh 290 grams, but I get probably roughly about 32 to 35 minutes with that. So take that into account. If you're picking up the Mini 4 Pro and you want to get the most out of it, you may want to pick up 2 batteries, because if you go with just the standard battery, you're probably only going to get roughly about 25 minutes of flight time, which is still pretty decent, but I mean, it's nothing near what DJI claims. And the Mini 3 Pro Flight Plus battery is going to cost you, because essentially you're going to have to register the drone. It's over 250 grams, but you will get an extended flight time. Now, you will start to notice noise at about 800, but by 1600 is when you really notice it start to take over an image. Of course, you can use denoise in Lightroom or Photoshop, but if you want to stick to a cleaner image, I would just stick around to 800 ISO or below. As far as the dynamic range of the Mini 4 Pro goes, it is good, but I would recommend shooting in brackets to get the most out of the images. 12 megapixels allows you to shoot in a 5-shot bracket, and 48 megapixels allows for a 3-shot bracket only. I personally would say just stick to the 48 megapixels, as they are sharper overall. For single shot photos, they are easily manipulated, but honestly, I think I would overexpose a little bit if necessary, as the shadows aren't as recoverable as the highlights. But don't blow out your highlights so much that you won't be able to recover those either. If there is no information, basically that single shot image is useless, especially if you're trying to recover highlights. One last thing, when shooting, be careful of bright reflections on cars and windows, etc., as they may produce some color fringing as seen in this photo. You may also get lens flares too. I believe there is a hood for the Mini 4 Pro, but that will ultimately lead to adding more weight to the drone, so take that into account. So I think it was a third party. I don't think DJI sold them, but I think there's a third party that has like a Mini 4 hood, and basically that goes over the gimbal, and it should help reduce sun flares. It's going to add more weight, and then it's going to force you to register the drone, so it'll be over that 250 gram rule. For video format, you're looking at MP4. You get MPEG-4 AVC/H.264 or HEVC/H.265. 4K, you basically get 4K 24, 25, 30, 48, 50, 60, and 100 frames per second. 1080p, you get 24, 25, 30, 40, 8, 50, 60, 100, and 200 frames per second. And the max bit rate for video is 158 megabytes per second. That is both for H.264 and H.265. As far as color mode and sampling methods go, for 8-bit, you're looking at 420 for H.264 or H.265. 10-bit is 420 at H.265 only. There is a digital zoom as well, and for 12 megapixels, you're looking at a 1 to 2 times crop. For 4K, it is a 1 to 3 times, and 1080p is a 1 to 4 times crop. Just my opinion, I honestly would just stick with 4K as the 1080 on the Mini 4 Pro. While you do get a higher frame rate for slow motion, it is pretty soft. Now, the max transmission for the FCC is 20 kilometers, or equivalently, that is 12.427 miles. CE, SRRC, and MIC is 10 kilometers. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about this drone from the perspective of somebody who has been using it pretty regularly for about over the month now. And honestly, I will say this much for the Mini 4 Pro. It is a fantastic drone if it is one of those things that you plan on bringing with you constantly. If you are a video maker, if you do vlogs or any sort of social media content, I think that this drone is an upgrade from the Mini 3 Pro if you plan on upgrading from that to the newest and latest from DJI. Now, shooting in vertical is top notch, especially for somebody who wants to create reels a lot easier, and that's just my opinion. I think that this is a good drone for anybody that doesn't want to have to register something but can still get some pretty high quality video. Now, I mean, as far as the whole registering it and everything goes, I mean, if you keep it under 250 grams, you really don't have to worry about it. If you plan on using this for anything commercially, like if you plan on using it to maybe make money off of making reels for local businesses or something, you still have to technically register it. I mean, it's $5 for, I think, like 2 or 3 years to register the drone, so it's not a huge burden, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I think $5 is pretty reasonable, and that's just my opinion. You will obviously probably have to broadcast remote ID once that is in full effect, and I don't know when that will go into effect. It was supposed to go into effect in September, and then they pushed it back. So I think that if you plan on purchasing this drone, I would honestly, and I think what most people are probably looking for is how good the video is, how good the photos are. And I mean, I don't really necessarily use a lot of the like built-in features and stuff like droney rockets, like all that's, you know, quick shots and all those things. I don't really necessarily use those a lot. I mean, sometimes I'll do a time lapse here and there, but I mostly primarily focus on photo and video myself, just because, I mean, I don't really necessarily see, I mean, unless you go on like a vacation or something, I don't really see you using like the quick shots that often. And I mean, they're cool and they're fun to use every once in a while. Like I said, if you're going on a vacation or something, you can go ahead and pop that in, and then you can kind of like do a drone or a rocket. I don't necessarily use them that often, but that's just me. As far as, like I said, the photos go, I mean, keep it below 800 if you want clean images, if you plan on shooting at night or like at lower, like golden hour or when the sun's going down, twilight. The video is really good. Top speed wise, I mean, for sport mode, you're looking at probably around 35 miles an hour. In normal, if you just want to, you know, fly the drone in normal, I've been getting probably around 25 miles an hour, which I think is still pretty reasonable for a small drone. And honestly, I don't really necessarily go that fast. I mean, unless I'm trying to chase a car, but normally even with the Mavic 3 and the Mavic 2 that I had, I would throw that in sport mode anyways, because obviously I need to keep the speed of a car that's going 50 or 60 miles an hour. It is pretty resilient in the wind, I will give it that. It's been pretty windy lately around here, especially with cold fronts coming in. And honestly, I mean, it's held its ground pretty well. As far as the control goes for the DJI Mini 4 Pro goes, I mean, it's pretty bare bones unless you buy the RC2. Comparing it to the one that came with my Mavic 3 Classic, I mean, I wish that there was an extra button on the back like the Mavic 3 Classic has. And then there's the button that you're able to switch from the video to photo with, and then obviously the button for taking photos. And then there's one button that you can customize, and basically what I have that for is turning the camera from vertical to horizontal and then shooting it from 90 degrees down to back to center. I mean, honestly, there really isn't too much more that I can say about the Mini 4 Pro. I mean, it's been pretty spectacular. The video is really good for what it is. It's a smaller drone that I don't necessarily have to register, and I can throw it in a camera bag without worrying about taking up too much room. As far as the photos go, like I said, I would shoot in 48 megapixel because even 12 megapixels seems soft, but even the 48 megapixel, in my opinion, still seems soft and kind of pixelated, like a really crappy digital like camera on a cell phone. That's just my opinion. But if you plan on shooting, I would just go with the 48 megapixel. I shoot brackets anyways, so I try to get the most dynamic range out of all of my photos. And then, I mean, realistically, it's small. Like I said, I can just throw it in a bag. I don't necessarily have to worry about it taking up a lot of room. I don't have to register it. And it's been pretty good, man. Like I said, it holds the ground well. The active track on it is pretty spectacular. I was pretty impressed with it. I mean, it obviously is a lot smaller drone, but you know, take it as what it is. Autonomous features are cool. Like I said, I don't really necessarily use a lot of the quick shots and master shots and all that stuff. Sometimes I'll do a time lapse, but I primarily focus on photos and videos, so it is what it is. I think that the Mini 4 Pro, for the price, if you are a digital content creator or somebody that maybe does paid client work for like real estate, or if you shoot like commercials and stuff for businesses, or if you basically just kind of want to have like the best, newest drone, smallest form factor, under $1,000, I think that it is really good. It gains satellites really fast. I mean, basically once I turn the drone on, it's up in the air within probably 1.5 to 2 minutes, compared to the Mavic 3 Classic, which takes a lot longer to gain a lot of satellites. As far as range goes, I mean, I was able to hit 12,666 feet with the Mini 4 Pro before the feed cut out and returned home, which is pretty much around 2.5 miles almost. And I think that's really good. I did the range test at my house because I wanted to show people, like 90% of the people I think that are going to buy this aren't going to go out to, you know, the side of a mountain or like a 7-mile stretch of like clear nothing to fly at 7 miles. There are probably people that want to do that, which is cool, whatever. I get it. But in all honesty, I think 80 to 90% of the people that are going to buy this are just going to fly it around their house or like around their neighborhoods, maybe go into like their town. Like me, I live in a small town in Florida, but you know, I like to go around, take photos, take videos and stuff like that, be creative. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, the Mini 4 Pro, I think for the price is good. I think if you want to spend or around $1,000, if you get the DJI Mini 4 Pro with the RC2 with the built-in screen, I think that you get a better bang for your buck. But honestly, if you spend $1,100, you get 3 batteries, you get a sling bag, you get the RCN2 and the charging hub. So there's a lot of pros and cons to each one of those levels. I honestly think that for the majority of people, just the basic $760 one, the one that I have, I think is probably best suited for 90% of the people. The built-in RC screen is nice just because you can throw it in a bag. You don't have to worry about hooking up your phone. And basically when you plug your phone into the remote controller actually charges the phone depending on how much battery is in it too. So take that into account. Anyways, hopefully this helps. If you guys like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you didn't like it, also give it a thumbs up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. I'm Jordan, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.